Okay, so I get to sit in front of Carly and have my DNA dissected. I asked her to look at things inside my DNA that I should be worried about, concerned about, and today she's going to tell me all about that. Now, this is like getting undressed in
Very
public.
personal.
Very, very
Yeah.
personal. And I asked her to disclose everything so you guys could see. And we always say data beats opinion, right? Whenever we talk about DNA. And because I've known some of these things, I think Carly's going to tell me stuff that I don't know today. But it's scary, it's intimidating, but it's extremely empowering. And that's the beauty of DNA. And what I love about DNA, and Carly said this over and over, but I'll just say it as a layperson. It is not like a blood test, because a lot of people say my blood type is this or my blood test said that, but blood and those things change. They're circumstantial. Your DNA doesn't change.
No.
And the beauty of it is, like Danny says, and I remember when we did the DNA webinar, he said something beautiful, that you can influence the expression of your genes relative to your DNA, which I thought was very, very powerful. So the type of life you live, when you understand that these are the things that you are predisposed to, so your genes can express those things. But if you live a life knowing that those are the elements that you need to avoid, you can actually live a better life, a healthier life, and that's empowering and it's
Totally.
perpetual.
Yeah.
So we always say, like, this data beats anyone going out there and saying, well, I think it's this, I think it's that.
Yeah.
And it's such an incredible gift to yourself, to your children. We've given it to Bethany and Amber as birthday gifts. And it's one of the
Amazing,
ones
yeah.
that will live forever, right? And Bella's done hers. And we'll give that to her one day when she's fully
Old
cognizant
enough,
of what it
yeah.
is. And it's
Yeah.
just such a powerful thing. So please just go easy. Go very, very easy on me, but let's hear. Yeah.
Okay. So on that note as well, Staf, the way I always explain it to clients is you can have naughty genes or you can have good genes, but then you can, based on your environment, based on your diet, your exercise, your lifestyle, your supplements, etc., you can make those naughty genes work in your favor rather than against you.
Okay.
So that's the whole point of doing DNA. It's not all doom and gloom. You can work with the genes that you're given and really improve your health outcomes. So I'm not explaining DNA as I would to clients, to you.
Right.
We've really summarized like the top 10 most exciting or interesting facts about your DNA, just so that we can get through this quickly.
I'm getting goosebumps. I'm
Yeah.
getting actual
Okay.
goosebumps.
So with a
Okay.
client, it would take us, north of 2 hours to go through DNA.
Right.
But for you, we're doing a quick snapshot of what's most interesting. So from a health perspective, what was coming up is you do carry a gene that increases your risk of high cholesterol. Okay. So being vegetarian, though, it's amazing because your intake of animal fat is next to nothing.
Or zero.
Yeah, red meat, no fat on biltong or lamb or
No
any of those
chicken,
fatty
no
meats,
fish,
no chicken
nothing.
skin, exactly, no butter, cheese.
You know, it's rarely butter. Eh? I mean, like the
Okay.
last night we actually had butter with corn.
Yeah.
But it was rare that we do that. That's once
Yeah.
in a while. So I should stay away from butter.
Butter is a saturated fat, so that can increase your bad cholesterol.
Okay. So
But yeah, being vegetarian, which is naturally much higher in fiber than a meat eater's diet, with legumes and
Right.
beans and chickpeas and lentils and all the fruit and veggies. So already you are putting that risky gene into a much healthier environment.
okay. Coconut
right?
oil?
Coconut oil actually is a saturated fat, remember? So it's not an unsaturated fat. It does have the ability to increase bad cholesterol.
So there's a lot of coconut oil in my diet.
Yeah, I mean, we must check your blood test for cholesterol and just be on that every
Okay,
single year and make
alright.
sure that it's okay. But that's one where people get caught out a lot. If you're at risk for high cholesterol, you shouldn't actually be using coconut oil.
What? I love coconut oil in everything. I do it
Yeah.
in scrambled eggs, I do it in fried eggs. We
Olive
do it
oil, olive oil.
olive oil.
Or avo oil, rather. Much better choices because
Okay,
they're unsaturated fats.
So olive oil that's heated up.
That's why I say use avocado oil, because it's got a much higher smoke point. Now I'm giving away all my secrets.
Avocado
but
oil?
Yeah.
I've never had avocado oil. I didn't even know it existed.
So we'll put it on the shopping list.
Avocado oil. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay, so that's
Right.
the cholesterol side. Then another cool thing from a health perspective is that you have a protective gene against cancer risk. So you actually have a gene that's working in your favor that decreases your risk of developing cancer.
That's interesting.
Very cool. Not many people carry that gene. I also carry it, but it is a really, really nice
Does
one
that
to carry.
mean I will not get it.
Not necessarily. If you had to put your body into an unhealthy, pro-inflammatory, high meat intake
Started
diet,
smoking, go into
loads of alcohol, loads of stress, not enough sleep, of course you could still develop cancer. There's so many risk factors associated with cancer,
Alright.
but it is offering you some level of protection, which is amazing.
That's incredible. Okay, good.
And also, if your intake of antioxidants, so fruit, veggies, healthy fats, super scoop, if
Right.
your intake of antioxidants is higher, you further pronounce the benefit of that gene.
Okay, so I'm 47. So should I
Yeah.
go around thinking, okay, I don't need to do a prostate cancer test?
No, you should still definitely do all
Okay.
the baseline screenings
stuff.
and recommendations, but it does just work in your favor, that gene.
Okay, so
which is
I know three
amazing.
things now, very quick, right? Cholesterol, I need to check. Number 2 is prostate stuff, I need to go check anyway.
Normal
and
screening,
The normal screening.
yeah.
And then the third thing is avocado oil.
Yes.
So those are my 3 actions so far.
And less coconut oil. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna kill. You see, I'm either or. Like I'm 1 and 0. I'm never like 1 point something. So
Staf's the worst patient ever.
no, I'm gonna take all your advice and I'm gonna like 100% implement
Yeah.
it.
But
Yeah.
you need to be balanced. Lisa always says you need to be a little bit of this, little bit of that. That's moderation. That's a healthy diet.
It's scary though, you know.
Yeah.
Like, the next time you put coconut oil anyway, I'm gonna be like,
No,
heart
a
attack,
little
I
bit
feel
of
my heart.
coconut oil is fine. Like if you had to have like coconut milk in a curry once in a while, not the end of the world. But if you like lathering everything with coconut oil, probably not a
See,
good
we do
idea.
pancakes with coconut oil. Okay, cool. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'll stop doing that. Okay.
Another one that's coming up is that you actually have issues with your vitamin D receptor genes. So it means that even if you were to sit in the sun for 15, 20 minutes a day, your body actually struggles to yield sufficient vitamin D
Oh,
from
wow.
sunlight.
Okay.
Yeah. Vitamin D we know is important for inflammation, for your metabolism, for
Right.
bone health, for your mood, for serotonin production, for so many different aspects of health. And you're probably going to need a supplement of vitamin D for the rest of your life because,
Wow.
you just, to get to the adequate or optimal levels of vitamin D, even if you were in the sun, which most people working office jobs aren't, your levels are going to struggle to get into that ideal
Okay,
range.
okay.
So vitamin D, so important for so
Alright.
many reasons, and it's often or overlooked, basically.
Oh, wow.
Vitamin
Okay.
D. So that's important. Your little cells on your skin struggle to actually suck up enough
Like
vitamin D
harvest
from.
it. Okay, got it.
So that's
Right.
really important.
Okay.
Another really cool one is that you have a protective gene against the development of insulin sensitivity issues. So type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance. And again, that doesn't mean you can go and eat bucket
Wow.
loads of Smarties and sugar and
Smarties.
unsaturated
I actually
fats.
brought my Smarties with me.
But there is a level of protection there genetically. So
Okay.
some people's genes, for that specific gene, work against them. From a insulin resistance perspective, yours are working in your favor.
That's
so
amazing. Okay, so I was
lucky.
worried about diabetes because of in my one side of my family, my mom's side,
Yeah.
and then on the other side, prostate cancer. My dad and his brothers have had it.
Okay.
So it's weird that it seems to have skipped over me, maybe.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, that's just one gene that plays part of a
Right.
big, big, big picture, but it's important that we, still take that into account.
Okay, fantastic.
Amazing.
Okay.
So another lucky one.
Okay.
High impact for lactose intolerance. Okay,
Yeah, I know
but-
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
I know
happens
that.
when you drink milk?
Do you really want to know?
Yes.
You pull my finger.
Hilarious. Okay,
Yeah, milk is a thing. I hate
Cramps,
milk. And you
runny
know what? I'll tell you
tummy.
something. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I do Lisa's Eliminate diet, like a lot. Like not a lot,
How
like
often?
once or twice a year we'll
Yeah,
do it. And
perfect.
the two of us will do it. And every single time I've done Eliminate, I've eradicated something that I loved, but then I discovered it's actually very bad
Doesn't
for
work
me.
for you,
So the last
yeah.
one I did was coffee. And this is actually I'm gonna kind of contradict myself because the last one I did was 3 years ago. We haven't done one since. It was just so busy. But when we did it, I picked up when I stopped coffee, like the first 2-3 days, I had the worst, my body, my aches, and I still desire coffee. I still smell it and I want it, but I'm too scared to put it back in my body. So I
Yeah.
just literally switched it off. And then most importantly is when I stopped coffee, I just couldn't drink milk anymore.
Yeah.
And what I discovered was the milk was actually the thing that
The
so
irritant.
yogurt
Yep.
upsets me. Like someone
Ice
would put
cream.
ice cream. I don't like milky ice cream. A glass of milk is the worst thing
Yeah.
for me. Like a lot of cheese on a pizza, I hate.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
okay, so that's because of my lactose intolerance.
So
okay,
you
cool.
are born without the gene that produces the enzyme lactase to break down lactose. So literally you're born without that adaptation. You cannot process it. So lactose free you could go for, otherwise just plant-based
So
alternatives.
I get to park in the disabled parking from now.
He's
Right.
missing a gene. Not that extreme.
Okay.
Then another one from your DNA diet report that was coming up was that your circadian rhythms and sleep is vital for weight management for you. For some people, genetically, it's more important than others to keep their circadian rhythms consistent.
Yeah.
You've got a night owl preference, potentially.
Right.
So that also can sometimes lead to late night snacking behaviors,
Okay.
sluggish metabolism at night, which is not great. So
But wait a minute, you're saying sluggish metabolism at night, but yet I'm a night owl.
yeah, well, you have a nighttime preference or an evening preference. Genetically, that's what DNA is
Right.
saying, which means that you have the tendency to want to stay up later at
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, which is not great from a weight management perspective.
But that's so true because I know that. And when
Yeah.
I sleep early, like when I go to bed when Lisa goes to bed, like
Yeah.
literally when the lights go off, I sleep. If I do that for a week, I lose weight. I literally, it's
Amazing.
a one-on-one,
Yeah.
one correlation. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. So, but I see it. I actually get on the scale and I'll
Yeah.
lose like a kilogram. I'm not lying. Without training that
Without
week,
changing your eating,
Nothing.
nothing. It's just sleep.
I'll just sleep.
Amazing.
Yeah. And also the way
Yeah.
she sleeps, it's like there's
Rigid.
nothing. Like I'm not allowed to have a phone.
Good.
No glowing rectangles
Yeah.
in
Amazing.
anywhere near us. I mean, lights get covered. She
Yeah.
puts, when we go out on holiday, she will actually chew gum
And
with the purpose of putting it on the LED
Flashing things.
thing on the aircon in the
Amazing.
room. She won't,
Yeah.
like, everything has to be pitch black dark. And that makes me sleep better. And the aircon's on and it's 16 Celsius
Degrees,
and,
yeah.
and we have weighted blankets. So when I sleep like that, I lose weight. So that's where this is coming from.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. If you didn't
Wow.
have Lisa to like regiment your sleeping routine and get your circadian rhythms in track, you'd be in a much
Wow.
worse position. Hey, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Much worse position. Okay. So versus where I am right now.
No, you're in a good
Yeah, thank
state
you,
now,
Carly.
but I'm saying you'd probably be overweight
Moving along.
if you were
Moving
working
along.
late at night or not sleeping.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So that's
Yeah.
why it's so important for people to know that
totally.
if they have that big of an importance for sleep.
Yeah, weight
Okay.
loss for me, sleep and weight loss is
Hand in
directly
hand.
correlated. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Sweet tooth was coming up. No surprises there.
You know what's amazing? When I had COVID, I know I had COVID
Yeah.
pneumonia, almost all
Milk
that bad.
tart.
You know, I love sweet stuff more than I've ever. I've never used
weird,
to eat
eh?
cheesecake. Now I love cheesecake.
Yeah.
I hated cheesecake. Now I eat cheesecake. And anything now, it feels like people lost smell and taste.
Yeah.
I got
Gained it.
I gained it. I
Yeah.
got like a superhero thing. COVID gave me like
Amazing.
what the spider gave Spider-Man. It did to my like sweet tooth gene thing.
Oh my gosh.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I love
But
sweet stuff now.
the thing when people are born with
Yeah.
that hyper ability to taste sweet foods, it really means that when you eat Smarties or sugar, your brain fires differently to somebody without that variation. So the dopamine rush that you get from
Right.
sugar is different to somebody without the variations
What,
that
better
you carry.
or worse?
More heightened, so you get more of a rush from sugar than somebody without
So
the
I should
genetic
do it more.
variation. No, you should eat it less. Because the more you eat, the more
Okay.
you crave. The more sugar you
Wow.
eat, the more your brain's going to fire, the more that sort of addictive nature of sugar is there.
So I'll disclose this. So my pet weakness is, and this because it's Lisa's pet weakness also, is that she will have every night lollipops. And she'll argue that the amount of calories in a single lollipop is way lower than blah, blah, blah. She has this like
It
all
is.
mathematical.
She's right.
Yeah, it's whatever. And then I'll have a box or two of Smarties.
A box or two of Smarties stuff is so different to a fizz pop.
Small box.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, that argument was not there.
Look, I'm not giving that up.
Yeah.
I'll give up. I'll go to avocado. I'll double up on the avocado oil.
Okay. Right. And then from a sport perspective,
Right.
which you know, your injury risk and your risk of soft tissue damage is through the roof.
Right.
It's like super, super high. And what we're looking at with those genes is how effectively is your body able to reproduce collagen
Right.
in response to joint damage or tissue damage.
This
So-
is why I don't run. I mean,
Yep.
this is one that I knew about myself, but that's why Bounty Boots was
Totally.
the thing that we brought in. And
Yeah.
I'm not trying to upsell anything here, but that was actually why I Bounty Boots a lot, because I love to run. But I just, every time I
too
run,
jarring for
it's
you.
too jarring. I hurt
Yeah.
myself. And I just can't do a distance beyond, like 7 to 8 Ks for me
Max.
is a lot, because then I
Yeah.
can't run for at least 3 or 4 days
It's not
after that.
worth it.
But now with the Bounty Boots, I can do it every day, all day, because I love it,
Amazing.
but I don't get hurt. So, and that's why
Yeah.
rebounding is also very congruent to my DNA type relative to
Yeah.
this.
If you
Okay.
have a high injury risk, like those exercises that harm,
Right.
not heal, are just not for you. It's just not worth it.
Okay.
And it's not worth putting your body under that amount of strain. So your tendons, your ligaments, your joints, your collagen. And like now, even some people with high injury risk might say, oh, but I'm fine, I'm okay. Wait 10, 15 years time with a high injury risk, how your joints will feel.
So is there any supplementation I should be taking with that?
Yeah, I mean, we've spoken about there's lots, omega-3s and
Okay.
curcumin and anti-inflammatories and things like
Okay.
that, and your bone builder. Those things are important.
Just by the way, Carly did do a recce in my vitamin cabinet at my house, and she like halved. And by the way, thank you for that, because I spent a lot of money on
Yeah.
vitamins, like a lot.
And the wrong quality ones.
And the wrong quality ones. And what you've done is literally I take 3 to 4 pills now, whereas I would literally do a handful of pills because I was scared. So just what you did was incredible. So you actually saved me money, and that's a big thing that people need to also realize. With this, like, data allows you to pinprick, it allows you to sniper and know what you should be taking, which is so powerful.
From a supplement perspective, that world is so confusing because in South Africa there's no regulatory body that says, let me test if there is 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C in your product like you're saying there is. So we just don't know. There's no regulatory council over supplements. So when it comes down to choosing the right brands, you have to, really, I always do my due diligence, but you've got to look into the research behind the product and the quality control and the ingredient choice, but that's a whole nother thing. So that's why helping people with supplements is such an important one, because you could literally just be throwing your money down the toilet if you're choosing the wrong brand. So that's important. And then another one is that you actually have more of a power-based genetic potential than endurance-based. So that's probably why also it's hard for you to push past 7 or 8Ks, because shorter, more explosive, faster, resistance-based is more your style, or might be more better suited to you and easier for you than a long 21K, for example.
No, totally. I've always felt like in my life with sports, at school, after school, etc., explosive moves I was better at than the endurance, longer stuff. I just couldn't do it as much.
Yeah, because you just don't carry as many genes working in your favor for endurance than you do for power. So when we look at the power endurance scale, you are like way over on the power side.
So no Iron Man for me.
I wouldn't recommend it unless you did in Bounty Boots. That imagine.
Yeah, that's a Bounty Boot.
And then from DNA Mind, this is a super interesting one, and I know you remember this, is that you carry a genetic variation.
There you go.
Not genius, no. That is high impact for developing, or high risk for developing psychosis or paranoia post-cannabis use. And
post-cannabis use?
Cannabis, so weed, marijuana, THC, high impact. Okay, so that's definitely done.
That's a big patch of the back of my yard that I have to clean up and plant something else now.
The police are going to come after you. But no, that is a really, really serious gene, and I've seen so many clients in practice who have actually developed this, and it's a scary thing. Psychosis can be reversible or irreversible. In some cases it's irreversible, and this is where when I have kids one day, I will be doing that test as soon as they start heading into teenage years and experimenting.
To scare anyone saying narcotics, you introduce it, you're going to go nuts.
Yeah, you're going to possibly develop schizophrenia or psycho. It's just not worth it. So you've got to know. And how do you know if you carry that gene or not unless you do a test, right?
That is incredible.
And also now with Beth and Amber and Bella, their risk of carrying that gene is quite high because you're high impact for it.
So I need to go tell them right away. No doobie in the house. No smoking's all in the house. No,
and then there was also a high risk of nicotine addiction. So who in your family smoked or?
I used to smoke like years and years ago. I guess when I came back from Israel, I stopped. When I lived in Israel, I stopped smoking. But I used to smoke a lot before, like matric years, naughty. And then when I got there, I was smoking a lot. And then as time went by, I gave it up, and I haven't smoked since.
Yeah. So. Just interesting though that you carry those genes.
Addiction to tobacco.
To nicotine.
To nicotine.
Nicotine specifically. So even if it was a vape or whatever the case is.
See, this is so clear. I mean, this is so empowering. So those 10 things.
That's pretty much the ones that I could think of that are, get from your DNA. That's the most interesting. There's lots more info there, but that's like a concise, quick summary of what's coming up that you need to work on and be aware of.
So look, easy, quick lifestyle changes, and a lot of this stuff just fixes itself. I mean, it's so simple once you've got the data.
Yeah, and lots of people have the suspicions about themselves always, that they're like, I had that inclining and now it's confirmed in black and white. Now I know I can't get away with this nonsense anymore. I have to work on it. I have to deal with these these genes, and it's life changing. Like, I'm so lucky to be able to work with people in DNA all the time, because they come back to me 2 months later and say they've never had more energy, or they never feel better, or their guts never been better. So it's amazing.
Awesome. Thank you, Carly.
Pleasure, Staf.
Please
Thanks
go
for
do
sharing your
your
DNA.
DNA. Yes.
Oh my gosh, how scary. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, no more. That's the hard one. I'm going to have to really work on that one. But anyway, thanks everyone.